Haunting is written in all caps for no apparent reason. Kyler looks hideous in her wedding invitation. Once again, Nancy travels overseas and forgets to bring money with her. Nancy's driving on the right-hand side of the road, even though it's illegal to do that in Ireland.
And I think I see the gates.
Nancy says she sees the castle gates 5 seconds before the gates appear on screen. Nancy sees the castle gates but doesn't bother to slow down. Nancy holds her phone in the left hand, yet knocks on the castle door with her right hand. Is she left-handed or right-handed? I don't know because her hands are invisible. Nancy had a touchscreen GPS in the previous game, now she has a flip phone. Why did she downgrade? Why would you bring a calling card with you when you have a cell phone? It's almost like Nancy knew ahead of time her phone would break. Why did the banshee run in front of Nancy's car anyway? That never gets explained. Nancy's wearing the exact same clothes as Jane Penvellyn. Right at the start of the game, we have a sheep near the archway, which is impossible because the gate to the sheep pen is closed.
My car's in the ditch by the gate.
Conveniently located ditch.
Walk down the road to the inn then.
Dude, Baylor is at least a minute's drive away. You expect her to walk that far?
Give me your keys and I'll see to your car in the morning.
Nancy tells Donal that she's in trouble, and his first thought is to steal her car keys.
I left the keys in the car.
Why would you leave your keys in the car, Nancy?
Can I at least talk to Kyler?
She's sleeping.
Where? There's no bed in Kyler's room. For that matter, there's nowhere for Nancy to sleep. If she hadn't been distracted by the mystery, she probably would have had to sleep in the car. The doors are unlocked. There is no reason Nancy can't open the doors and go inside herself. Kyler doesn't care that Nancy breaks her window. Unless Nancy is secretly 15 feet tall, there is no way she can look through a second-story window at this angle.
He hasn't disappeared for good. You have to understand, Matt's a bit of a prankster, and the wedding is still days away.
Kyler actually believes this. Kyler has 3 different turtleneck sweaters, which are identical except for the color. I'm scared to see this woman's closet.
Sometimes I hear him. You know, his voice.
Kyler is crazy.
The 5 months I spent living with you, your dad, and Hannah.
Kyler lists all the people she likes, but who she didn't invite to the wedding. One-sided wedding programs. Matt stopped making programs when he was 3 away from finishing. There are 2 programs per page and only 10 guests at the wedding, so that means he did 2 programs and then stopped. How lazy is this guy?
Let me know if there's anything else I can do for you. I'm your maid of honor, remember?
Nancy willingly turns herself into a chore slave for the rest of the game.
Perhaps you should give Alan a call. 0044-020-7946 0481.
Kyler has memorized a 15-digit phone number. No one notices these lights besides for Nancy. Alan Payne talks for 2 minutes about how Matt started fights with everyone else. Some best man he is. For a bar that's full of people, that place sure looks empty. The bar is non-alcoholic, but there are wine bottles in the background. The tutorial for playing Mixed Maid is longer than the actual minigame.
And to save time, I draw little pictures instead of writing out their names.
That does not save time!
We're some spry and spunky lass to lend poor Seamus a hand.
Is he hitting on me? Donal's elbow goes through his glass like it's not even there. The amount of liquid in Donal's mug never goes down. We went through all that trouble to make him a crow's nest, and he never even drinks it. What a jerk! The boyfriend stealer is named Minky McNabb. Sounds like she was named by Lazy McCantright. No, seriously, imagine going through high school with a name like Minky McNabb. It's no wonder she changed her name to Deirdre Shannon. This puzzle. Nancy doesn't think to pick up multiple rings at the same time. Nancy doesn't think to put any of the rings on the table that's right next to her. There is no good reason for this puzzle to serve as a lantern battery. Donal has spent the past 50 years cleaning up Castle Malloy. Donal is bad at his job. Who decided to put a weight inside a fortune-telling machine? There is a giant hole where the wall should be, but Kit is not cold in the slightest. Speaking of keeping warm, why does Kit put the cot so far away from the fireplace? Kit.
How come you sound so American?
Because hiring an Irishman would have cost money. Kit brings this photo to Kyler's wedding and doesn't understand why people think that's weird.
So now we can talk.
Yeah, now we can talk. Oh, hey, actually, you might want to take a look at this first.
Kit promises to tell you the truth about his fight with Matt once you solve the seating chart puzzle, then he dodges the conversation completely and starts talking about a leprechaun book. Kyler's wedding list includes past culprits who should be in jail and therefore are unable to attend the wedding. The correct solution places Nancy next to Laurie Gerard. Imagine how awkward that dinner conversation would be. The game expects players to be able to solve the leprechaun puzzle on their own. I'm pretty sure crows don't get that close to humans in real life. Sure, Kyler occasionally moves from her chair, but she only does it off-screen when nobody else is looking. Why does Nancy need to get the buttons here? She should still be able to push the triggers in the wall without those buttons. This hidden passageway is cool, but at the end of the game, Matt says he fell down a hole in here. I don't see any holes.
I fell backwards into the passage trying to get away from it, and the next thing I knew, I was falling through a hole in the floor. Fortunately, I only fell about 2 meters.
Matt claims he fell 4 feet, yet ended up in the hidden tunnel system underneath the castle. That's impossible to do from the 2nd floor. The hidden tunnel system is nowhere near the bedroom where Matt disappeared. Hey, Castle Malloy has a 3rd floor! Maybe we should have gone there at some point. Where's the bathroom in this place, anyway? Someone set up a long, complicated trail of clues for Nancy to follow, but we never learned who did it. Was it Fiona? Seems weird for her to go through all that trouble just to kidnap Nancy. The bog crossing puzzle is super long. Why are there a ton of flies in this cage? What are they attracted to? You think they would be attracted to the herbs that are 3 feet away. Nancy is incapable of looking at the sheep doll before getting a doll sorting puzzle with the sheep on it. Crazy homeless lady has a jetpack. Fiona's been using a jetpack here for 50 years, but no one has seen her once besides Nancy. Donal tells Nancy to collect a sheep, but doesn't tell her how to get through the ridiculous gate. Gates don't work like that in real life. Nancy opens the gate and leaves it open for a long time, yet none of the sheep escape. Kit leaves these drawings on the ground. Kit is a litterbug. Also, Kit was on the far side of the sheep pen, which means he got through the gate and somehow closed it after himself, so Nancy would have to solve the gate puzzle. Kit is a jerk. It takes Nancy 3 seconds to find Matt's luggage in Kit's area, yet Kit claims he has no idea it was there. Either Kit is bad at searching, or he's a liar. It should be noted that nobody besides Nancy bothers to search for Matt.
It is most definitely over.
The fight between Kit and Kyler is probably the most interesting part of the game, so of course it's muffled so we can't hear anything. The Ogham Runes puzzle. Kyler forces Nancy to find a bunch of flowers for a bouquet. The bouquet is never used for anything, and you don't even have to put the flowers in a vase. It is literally just 10 minutes of busy work without any purpose. The one area that you only visit once to get flowers. How are you supposed to know where it is? The other area that you only visit once in order to get flowers. How are you supposed to know where it is? Backtracking in the gear puzzle is harder than it should be, since you can't remove pieces in any order you want. You don't need to print out the jetpack instructions correctly in order to start the jetpack. Nancy doesn't tell anyone about her jetpack. Fiona is the only person to have visited the tower room in decades, yet there's not one speck of dust anywhere. She must be really good at cleaning. Sheep shearing. Mohawk sheep is funny, but why would a shearing machine dye wool purple?
I think this doll is supposed to be me.
If that's what you look like, Nancy, you need a new wardrobe. The book puzzle. Nancy's jetpack flies for hours on end. Unless she goes too far to the north, then it magically runs out of fuel. Nancy can jetpack past Kyler's window all day, and Kyler doesn't notice a thing. Hey, what fuels these jetpacks anyway? Is it gasoline? Does Fiona occasionally visit a gas station to get her jetpack fueled up? How does she pay for that? What does Fiona eat? Does she have a vegetable garden that we never got to see? We can see Matt's shoulders from the opening shot, but in all the other shots, he's too short for us to see his shoulders. Either he jumped up just for that one scene, or Nancy is talking to Matt while sitting down. This was Brendan Malloy's working lab, right? Why did he fill it with puzzles to make it harder for him to work? The chemicals puzzle! The controller in the chemicals puzzle has 5 settings. You never use the lowest setting to solve the challenge. It is there just so people can accidentally grip a chemical too tightly and die. Not all of these chemicals have explosive properties. Second Chance calls it a chemical spill when it's clearly a chemical explosion. Considering how easy it is to die in the chemicals puzzle, they need at least 50 more Second Chance screens. Superhero is one word. If I'm going to criticize the grammar in the second chance scenes, it's worth pointing out that dough has an apostrophe. Instead of detangling these wires, Nancy lets them stay crossed just to make this puzzle more difficult. Nancy is way too close to the rocket when it goes up. She should be dead right now. Nancy doesn't need to launch the rocket successfully, right? She just needs to launch a rocket to open the silo doors. Wouldn't it be easier if she just faked a rocket launch? How does Fiona open the silo doors from the outside?
Still can't accept the fact that the strange wail I kept hearing wasn't a banshee, but an old siren that Matt kept inadvertently setting off down in the tunnels.
I suppose that's why the subtitles say eerie wailing instead of siren sounding. That would have been a spoiler. Donal sleeps through this. When did Donal get a cane? In the ending scenes, Kit is played by Fongo from the previous game. Bad Photoshop.
Unfortunately for them, Brendan's intricate fuel system has them completely and hopelessly stumped.
A crazy banshee lady can figure out the jetpack's fuel system, but government experts? Nope, no way. Let me finish with my most nitpicky problem. In Phantom of Venice, the Nancy Drew logo is synced with the whoosh sound, like this. In this game, they reuse the theme music, but they changed the timing on the logo so the whoosh occurs on a blank screen.